The year is 637. The Tang Dynasty is at its zenith, a golden age of art and power, stretching its influence across the vast Silk Road. Into the sprawling golden labyrinth of the Forbidden City enters a 14-year-old girl named Wu Zhao, her destiny hidden behind a modest veil. She is not born of royalty. She is simply the daughter of a timber merchant, an outsider entering a world governed by ancient, rigid bloodlines. But she possesses a rare, haunting beauty and a sharp intellect that immediately catches the eye of the aging lion, Emperor Taizong himself. However, in a court teeming with 3,000 beautiful concubines, beauty is a common currency. In this den of vipers, only power truly matters. Wu Zhao is assigned the humble rank of Qianling, a fifth-tier consort. She is a talented lady, yet she remains a ghost in the imperial corridors. For 10 long years, she remains in the cold shadows of the palace. She does not complain. Instead, she watches, she listens, and she learns. She masters the lethal etiquette of the court, studies the fragile egos of powerful men, and understands the heavy, lonely weight of the crown. As the great Emperor Taizong falls ill, the palace becomes a hunting ground. The vultures begin to circle, sensing the end of an era. While others plot for gold, Wu Zhao looks toward the future, specifically toward the emperor's gentle and impressionable son, the Prince Li Ji. It is a high-stakes, dangerous game. To touch the heart of the son of one's master is a treasonous death sentence for any consort. Yet, as the old emperor breathes his last, a secret, forbidden bond is forged in the flickering, dim light of the royal sickroom. But tradition in the Tang court is a cruel, uncompromising mistress. Upon the emperor's death, the childless concubines face a grim, silent fate. Shaved bald and stripped of their silk, they are sent to Gambit temple to live as Buddhist nuns, forgotten by the world they served. The world thinks Wu Zhao is finished, a ghost, in a saffron robe. But the new Emperor Gaozong has not forgotten the woman in shadows. Life in Gambit temple is a slow death of silence and incense. For most, it is an end. For Wu Zhao, it is a chrysalis where she waits and watches. On the first anniversary of his father's death, Emperor Gaozong visits the temple to offer incense. But his prayers are not only for the dead. The sight of Wu Zhao, even with a shorn head and a nun's habit, reignites a forbidden passion that never truly faded in the halls of power. But a massive hurdle remains: the imperial court. To bring back a former concubine of one's own father is a scandal of incestuous proportions. Yet, an unlikely ally emerges from the shadows of the harem. Empress Wang, locked in a bitter struggle for the emperor's affection, sees an opportunity. Wang believes she can use Wu Zhao as a weapon to distract the emperor from her rival consort Xiao. It is the ultimate, fatal miscalculation. Wu Zhao returns to the palace not as a humble nun, but as a force of nature. She is reborn in silk and steel, ready for war. Within months, she is promoted to Zhaoyi, the highest rank of the 9 concubines. She is no longer just a merchant's daughter. She is a strategist. She begins to weave a vast web of informants, spending her personal wealth to buy the absolute loyalty of palace eunuchs and low-ranking maids. She realizes that in the Forbidden City, information is the only true armor. To know a secret is to hold a life in the palm of your hand. Empress Wang and consort Xiao soon realize their mistake. The distraction they invited back has become the predator in their midst. The stage is set for a purge that will stain the halls of the Tang Dynasty in crimson. The hunter is now the hunted. A dark cloud descends over the court of Gaozong. A game of thrones has begun, and Wu Zetian is playing for keeps. Gaozong, gentle and weak, becomes a mere instrument in her hand. The true master of the empire is no longer the man on the throne. Chapter 1 ends here, but the blood is just beginning to flow. Stay tuned for Chapter 2, The Path of Silk and Blood. The year is 654. A daughter is born to Wu Zhao. For a fleeting moment, the nursery is the only place in the Forbidden City where peace seems to reside. But in this palace, even a cradle is a battlefield. Wu Zhao knows that a child is not just a life, it is a piece in a much larger, deadlier game. Empress Wang comes to visit. She is the mother of the empire. Yet she is childless and desperate. She comes to see the child of her rival. She plays with the infant. She touches the soft skin. She leaves the room, unaware that she has just walked into a trap of unimaginable cruelty. Wu Zhao is watching. Hidden behind the heavy silk screens, she waits until the Empress is gone. And then, the nursery falls into a deathly silence. A discovery is made. The princess is cold. Her breath has vanished. Whether by nature or by her mother's own hand, the child is dead. Emperor Gaozong arrives. He finds his world shattered. He sees his daughter, and he sees his Xiaoyi in a state of unbearable agony. She doesn't blame the gods. She doesn't blame fate. She points her finger at the only person who had visited the nursery. Empress Wang. Gaozong's grief turns into a white-hot rage. A man who was once gentle is now consumed by a need for vengeance against his own wife. The trap is sprung. Empress Wang is arrested in the dead of night, her crown stripped away, her pleas for mercy falling on deaf imperial ears. She is thrown into a dark, damp cell. The woman who once ruled the court is now a prisoner of a woman she thought she could control. Wu Zhao has won. But she is not satisfied with a prisoner. She wants a vacancy. She wants the title that Wang has lost. Despite the protests of the old guard and the senior ministers, Gaozong signs the decree. Empress Wang is officially deposed. Wu Zhao is no longer just a consort. She is the architect of a new order. The crown of the Empress is now within her reach. Chapter 2 comes to a close. The Empress has fallen, but the shadow of Wu Zhao is only beginning to grow over all of China. In late 655, the impossible becomes reality. The daughter of a merchant prepares to ascend a throne that for centuries belonged only to the daughters of nobility. With Gaozong by her side, she steps out before the empire. This is not just a marriage, it is a coronation of a new ruthless order. She is now Empress Wu. But the title is not enough. To rule effectively, she must silence the voices that whisper of her low birth. The old guard, led by the legendary minister Chu Suiliang, refuses to bow. They see her as a stain on the glorious Tang legacy. Empress Wu does not argue with them in public. She watches from behind a silk screen, noting every face, every name, and every insult. Then the purge begins. One by one, the men who built the empire find themselves stripped of their titles and banished to the frozen frontiers. Chu Suiliang, the voice of the old world, is exiled to the edge of civilization. His power vanishes like a candle in a storm. To secure her reign, she creates a shadow network, a secret police that answers only to her. Fear becomes the primary currency of the court. She places copper boxes in the capital, encouraging citizens to inform on each other. No one is safe. Even walls have ears. Empress Wang and Consort Xiao, once her rivals, are not forgotten. In her world, an enemy alive is a threat that hasn't been finished. They are executed with a cruelty that shocks even the most hardened soldiers. The old guard realizes. This is no longer the Tang they knew. Gaozong's health begins to fail. He is plagued by blinding headaches and dizziness, leaving the empire effectively in Wu's hands. By 660, the two sages rule the court. But only one sage is truly awake. Only one sage is truly in control. She has purged her enemies, captured the emperor's soul, and seized the machinery of state. Wu Zetian is no longer just a woman, she is the empire. Chapter 2 comes to a bloody, triumphant close. The Empress has arrived. But can she keep the dragon she has tamed? Stay tuned for Chapter 3. The Shadow Emperor. By 660, the center of gravity shifts. The court moves to Luoyang, the eastern capital. Here, away from the old noble families of Chang'an, Wu builds her own world. Gaozong's health continues to wither. A series of strokes clouds his vision and dulls his mind. The dragon of Tang is becoming a prisoner of his own body. But where the emperor falters, the empress rises. She becomes his eyes, his ears, and eventually his voice. She is no longer just a companion, she is the regent. During court audiences, a curtain is drawn. The ministers address the emperor, but it is the shadow behind the silk that provides the answers. She bypasses the traditional bureaucracy. She creates the scholars of the Northern Gate, a private think tank of brilliant men loyal only to her. Her influence is not just internal. She oversees administrative reforms that strengthen the central government and expand the empire's reach. She wins the hearts of the common people. She lowers taxes, promotes agriculture, and ensures that the granaries are full when the winters are long. The people see an empress who provides. The nobility sees a usurper who threatens their birthright. The tension is a coiled spring. To keep the nobility in check, her secret police intensify their work. Fear is her silent partner, ensuring that even a thought of rebellion is silenced. She audits the treasury with an iron hand. No corruption escapes her notice, and no official is too powerful to be replaced. Visual gag, servant sweating profusely. But the greatest threat comes from within her own bloodline. Her eldest son, Crown Prince Li Hong, begins to question his mother's absolute authority. A dinner is arranged. Mother and son face each other across a table of delicacies and hidden daggers. The air is thick with unspoken warnings. In 675, Li Hong dies suddenly after a banquet. The official cause is illness, but the whispers in the dark say something far more sinister. The court mourns, but the Empress's path is cleared. She is a woman who loves her children, but she loves her power more. The price of the crown is blood. The Shadow Emperor has no rivals left. Gaozong is a ghost, and her children are pawns. The age of Wu Zetian is fully realized. Phase 5 complete. December 683. The long twilight of Emperor Gaozong finally reaches its end. The man who was once the Dragon of Tang draws his final rattling breath. She is alone. The partner who gave her the world is gone, leaving her to face a court that still sees her as an outsider, a merchant's daughter. The funeral is a spectacle of white silk and thunderous grief. Gaozong is buried, but for Wu, the mourning period is a race against time. Her son, Li Jie, ascends as Emperor Zhongzong. He is weak, easily led, and foolishly believes that the crown now gives him actual power. Behind him stands his wife, Empress Wei. She dreams of being the next Wu Zetian, urging her husband to promote her own family to the highest offices. Wu Zetian is not amused. She sees her son handing the empire back to the very noble families she spent decades purging. Visual gag, guard hiding behind a pillar, 6 weeks. That is how long his reign lasts. Before the ink on his decrees is dry, Wu deposes him, dragging him from the throne like a child. Her youngest son, Ruizong, is placed on the throne. He is a phantom king. He is forbidden to speak, forbidden to rule, and forbidden to even see the court. But the Tang princes have seen enough. In Yangzhou, General Li Jingye raises the banner of rebellion, calling for the usurper's head. She reads their manifesto, a document that calls her a demon. She doesn't flinch. She simply admires the literary skill of the writer. She unleashes 300,000 men. The rebellion is not just defeated, it is annihilated. The ground of Yongzhou turns into a river. Every leader of the revolt is hunted down. Their families are erased. To rebel against Wu is to choose extinction. Fear now becomes her primary weapon. She empowers men like Lai Yunshan, monsters who thrive on torture and false accusations. The copper boxes overflow with names. Brother informs on brother, wife on husband. In Wu's China, the only person you can trust is her. The rebellion is dead. The court is silent. Now she prepares to do the unthinkable, to end the Tang and crown herself emperor of a new dynasty. In the year 690, the world witnesses a transformation that defies a millennium of tradition. Wu Zetian does not just take the throne. She remakes the universe. She declares the end of the Tang and the birth of the second Zhou Dynasty. She is no longer just a queen mother. She is the holy and divine emperor. To cement her rule, she creates a new language, 12 unique Chinese characters that symbolize her power and her connection to the stars. She leverages Buddhism to justify her reign, claiming to be the incarnation of Maitreya, the future Buddha. She is a ruler of both the physical and spiritual worlds. But her power isn't just based on myths. She revolutionizes the civil service exams, allowing men of talent to rise, regardless of their family name. She elevates the status of women, commissioning biographies of famous women and encouraging female education within her court. Visual gag. Mascot studying a book. Her armies push deep into Central Asia, reclaiming territory along the Silk Road. Under her rule, China's borders are secure and trade flourishes. Yet, the fear remains. Her secret police are more active than ever, hunting for any sign of a Tang restoration. Paranoia is the price of her crown. Her chief inquisitor, Lai Yunshan, writes the Manual of Accusations, a terrifying guide on how to manufacture guilt and extract confessions. In the halls of the Zhou, silence is the only safe language. Even her loyalists fear the knock on the door in the dead of night. She is the most powerful woman in the history of the world. But as the years pass, the question of her successor begins to haunt her every waking moment. Into this void step the Jiang brothers, young, handsome, and cunning. They become her favorites, distracting the aging emperor while they seize power for themselves. The court is divided. Should the throne go to the Wu clan or to her sons, the Tang princes? The future of China hangs in the balance once more. Wu Zetian has ruled for half a century. She has built an empire and broken a world, but even the holy and divine must eventually face the sunset. Phase 7 ends. The dragon is old, but she still has teeth. Prepare for the final struggle. Legacy of the Iron Empress. By the turn of the 8th century, the court is no longer ruled by policy, but by the whims of the Zhang brothers, the two beautiful lotus flowers. Empress Wu Zetian, now nearing her 80s, retreats into the shadows. Her health is failing, and the Zhangs are her only gatekeepers. Even her most loyal advisor, the legendary Di Renjie, warns her. The people love the Tang, and a mother must ultimately choose her sons over her clan. In a rare moment of strategic clarity, she recalls her exiled son, Li Xian. The Tang restoration begins not with a war, but with a family reunion. But the Zhang brothers grow reckless. They insult the princes, mock the ministers, and believe they are untouchable while Wu lives. The final line is crossed. The Zhangs orchestrate the death of Wu's own grandchildren for a minor slight. The grandmother in her finally wakes up. In the winter shadows of 705, a conspiracy forms. Generals, ministers, and princes unite under a single goal: the return of the Tang. February 20. The night is cold and the snow is thick. 500 soldiers move through the northern gate. The target, the Palace of Long Life. The Zhang brothers are caught in the hallway. They die as they lived, beautiful, useless, and in a spray of colorful sparks. The soldiers burst into her chamber, but Wu Zetian does not cower. She stands, 81 years old, and stares them down. She sees her son among the plotters. She knows the game is over. She does not plead. She simply gives a final weary command. She signs the decree of abdication. The Zhou Dynasty, the grand experiment of a woman emperor, ends with a single stroke of a brush. The Tang is restored. The empire celebrates the return of the true line. But the world is forever changed by the woman they just deposed. Wu Zetian is moved to the Chang'an palace. She is no longer an emperor. She is a mother, a widow, and a legend waiting for the end. Phase 8 ends here. The throne is lost, but her legacy is set in stone. Prepare for the final chapter, the blank tombstone. The winter of 705 is the coldest in memory. In the quiet halls of Chang'an Palace, the woman who once shook the heavens sits by a charcoal fire. She is no longer the holy and divine emperor. To the world, she is once again a widow of the Tang, but her mind remains a fortress of memories. Her son, Zhongzong, now visits her daily. He brings gifts and titles, yet he cannot look her in the eye. He is the emperor, but she is still the master. In the silence, the ghosts of her past return. The concubine, the nun, the empress. They all merge into the fragile form of a woman waiting for the end. December 16th, 705. The winter cold deepens until it reaches the bone. The iron will that held China for half a century finally begins to fracture. She lies on her deathbed. There is no crown, no scepter, only the labored breath of a mortal. Her final command is her most surprising of all. "Bury me as an empress," she whispers, "not as an emperor. Lay me beside my husband, Gaozong, and let the Zhou Dynasty die with me." With those final words, the only female emperor in Chinese history passes away. The light of the Iron Empress is extinguished forever. The news ripples through Luoyang. Thousands of officials kneel in the snow, draped in white. A mixture of relief and profound loss fills the air. She is carried to the Qianling Mausoleum, to the twin peaks of Liangshan. She is to be buried with the man she both loved and usurped. The funeral procession is the grandest in the history of the Tang. A river of white silk moving along the spirit way, guarded by stone titans. The heavy stone doors are sealed. The second Zhou dynasty is officially over, and the Tang is whole once again, or so it seems. Outside, she leaves a world of riddles. The headless statues of 61 foreign envoys stand guard, witnesses to an empire that spanned continents. But her greatest mystery stands alone, a massive 7-meter-tall stone slab. It is the Blank Stele. No words, no deeds, no name. Phase 9 ends with a silent stone. Who was she? A savior? A monster? The answer is left for history to decide. Phase 9 complete. The centuries that followed her death were not kind to her memory. The Confucian scholars of the later Tang and Song dynasties were determined to erase the usurper. They rewrote the official histories, stripping her of her title as emperor, and reducing her to a mere consort who manipulated a weak husband to seize power. She was called a fox, a demon, a murderer of her own children. The Iron Empress was painted as a monster of limitless ambition and cruelty. But the stones of China tell a different story. At the Longmen grottos, the massive Vairocana Buddha stands, a face carved to resemble Wu Zetian herself. Under her rule, the Silk Road flourished. China was not just a kingdom, but a global superpower, open to the world, rich in art and innovation. She broke the back of the old aristocracy, creating a meritocracy that allowed the best and brightest to rise. She built the foundation for the Tang peak. Modern historians see her as one of the most effective rulers in history. A woman who ruled with an iron fist, but a visionary heart. She was a storm that cleared the path for the greatest golden age of the Tang. Without her, the empire might have crumbled under the weight of its own past. And so, we return to the Blank Stele. No name, no deeds, just a silent stone that has spoken more loudly than 1,000 books. Her blank tombstone was her final, ultimate victory. It said to the world, "I was here, I was the emperor. Now you try to judge me." Wu Zetian, the merchant's daughter who became the Dragon of Tang, remains the most fascinating mystery in the long scroll of Chinese history. She was the only one, the first and the last, an empire shaped by her hand, a history marked by her name. The story of Wu Zetian ends. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the secret life of Wu Zetian. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own verdict in the comments. Developed by Ancient Myths. Visit us for more historical storytelling tools. See you in the next epic.